Hey guys, the Train Tutor back in the studio and back with my personal build, the Big Burma Build. Yes, it's been going on a while. Now, this is my ongoing build to sort of make a jungle setup for my Chindits for bolt action. And slowly but surely we've been working our way through, and this is very much not a tutorial, it's more of a vlog that I'm sharing different ideas and I'm playing with. And the things that I do in this, they might not be the best way of doing things. With it being my own personal project, I'm playing around a lot and that sort of stuff. So you're sort of along for the ride. Now in the last episode, we did Palm Tree Ageddon, and we tackled painting up plastic palms and then embedding them into our current terrain setups, and they're looking absolutely lovely. And it really made the set pop. Here, take a look at a couple of these photos. See what I mean? Beautiful. Now, when I did those, I had some large palm trees, and I've got them here. And as you can see, they're quite big. I mean, they're more than a fist, as if I hold that up like that. Okay, and they were a little bit too big to go on my pre-existing pieces. It was just too much for, I wanted them smaller on the pieces, which left me with these, and I was wondering what to do with them. And I've been thinking about it, and I think I'm going to use them to make a bit of a palm tree grove. Basically what I want is, I want two things. So Mel's got to be a bit smart. What I want is, I want a central piece that I can put somewhere in the middle of the board that, because they're palm trees and they're large palm trees, what happens with palm trees is the larger they grow, the larger their root structure is. And they get so dense that they physically stop anything else growing around them. So what you get is essentially a clearing in a palm grove. You don't get much bushes or that sort of stuff. Now, a lot of my terrain, much like this, it's pretty heavy, dense stuff, and troops aren't going to move through that. So what I thought was, I'd use these palm trees, with them being quite high, I'm going to be able to easily place troops underneath them and move around and that sort of stuff. So I'm going to use these to make a palm tree grove. But at the same time, what I also wanted to do, because I had two ideas on this. The other idea was, I wanted to make a lot of long, thin pieces, that I could lay the palm trees on, and I could do like perhaps on a beach board, they could go up and then you could have a row of palm trees, or if I've got a jungle and I want to bring it out into what's a more normal land, they can work as a transition. Thing is, I've got one set of palm trees, 19 of the buggers, there you go, okay, but I've got two objectives I want to do with it. Now, Mel has an idea on this, but I'm going to have a little play and see if I can pull it off first. So, I'm going to have a little play. Calm down. And if I can figure it out, I'll bring it back. And if not, you probably won't even see this video. Hey ho, the life of a terrainiac, eh? Right, I'm going to crack on, see if I can figure these out of how I want to lay them. I've got some 6mm MDF here. I know I normally use EPVC for my terrain builds, but for this one I'm using MDF. There's a specific reason for that. The technique I'm using with the herbs and that sort of stuff, it requires what's got a lot of soaking in of watered down PVA. And what I've noticed is, with the EPVC, with it being plastic, it doesn't absorb it like the MDF does. So in this particular case, MDF is my go-to material. I'll still use EPVC for all sorts of other stuff, but because I've got quite a lot of dense foliage, quite a lot of, I've got herbs down as my basic mix, then a load of flock and stuff over the top. I want something that really soaks in. So I'm going to use MDF. So I'm going to have a play with these. I'll see if I can come up with something. And if I can, I'll see you in a sec. So guys, I've got my bases done, and if you come down you can see them here. Okay, you'll notice that I've sort of cut them sort of modular. Okay, the idea being that when I glue my palm trees down, etc., I'll be able to put them together and make either a solid grove, or I'll be able to expand them out a little okay, and sort of make a larger grove with pass through for troops, yeah, or, yeah, what I'll be able to do is sort of lay them out longitudinally like this, along a path of the woodland sort of thing, okay, and the idea being that I'll be able to come up with a row of palm trees that sort of line my jungle. Now, I have had more palm trees, still stupidly of me, okay. I found some links on Amazon, so I just saved them in my wish list. And then someone obviously has been on the channel, gone down into the description, seen the link for the wish list, gone along and thought, Mel's got palm trees on there, I'll buy him some more palm trees. So I've got some more palm trees at home, so I can see me doing more of this stuff rather soon. But before we move on, let me just very quickly show you something. Now, these are my bases, but underneath I've painted my bases and given them just a simple coat of paint. Now, the reason for this is MDF can warp, and it can warp in two ways. It can warp when you actually glue everything on top of it, because as the glue dries, it shrinks and it raises the edges. Okay, and we sort of counter this by controlling what glue we use, by using various materials, by trying to stiffen it up, and by adjusting our base to sizes and shapes that don't really warp. But there's an ongoing problem. You see, the second way MDF warps is that if you don't seal the bottom of it, yeah, and you've done all the stuff over the top, over time, yeah, the bottom, yeah, will absorb moisture from the air and it will expand, which will also raise the edges. Okay, so if you're working with MDF, always remember, yeah, give the bottom a quick, coat of paint just to seal it. It makes a massive difference long term. No one will see it, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a good job. So my next job is I need to get my palm trees on here. Okay, and the way I'm going to do that is first I'm going to hot glue them in. Okay, once they're hot glued in, that'll allow me to go in with some DAS modelling putty, yeah, and just create a little bit of rise around the lip and blend in the hot glue so I haven't got blobs. Once that's done, I'll be able to coat the whole thing with a bit of filler. Yeah, now, I don't really need to coat it with filler, but I'm a little bit concerned with these being quite long, thin pieces. They're liable to warp, whereas if I put filler on them, the filler will toughen up and it will help prevent the warping. So in this case, I'm putting filler on these. So guys, my next job is I've got to get me palm trees, I got to get me hot glue, and I got to get gluey. So I'll see you shortly, yeah. So, got them all glued on and fillered up. And if you come down, yeah, you can see nice solid coating on the filler. Yeah, I've got no warping whatsoever. I wouldn't expect warping with filler, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, but I've organised all my palm trees and I've been a little bit cheeky because I knew I had some more palm trees. Yeah, I've nicked some palm trees off my other pieces with palm trees, just two, because I was a little bit short and I wanted this bunch to be quite dense. But that should line up with that, that should line up with that, that should line into there, and then that should line into there, yeah? Which gives me my really dense, sort of foliage, yeah? But at the same time, you can see through it all, so it's sort of soft cover, but not line of sight blocking for bolt action, yeah? And how's that? Okay, I can reach to there, I can reach to there, I can reach to there, I can reach to there. Placement is perfect. Yeah, so basically, I'm going to have no problems with moving my models around here. I might have to reach over a little bit and move some here and that sort of stuff. But yeah, even though it's a really dense piece, foliage-wise, because the canopy is almost complete, yeah, it's still loads of room to be functional and move models. So I'm really pleased with that. That's panned out really well. And of course, you know, the idea is that this can be sort of moved out a little, just to say about 2 centimeters. If I separate these just a little, yeah, I could still maintain that canopy sort of look and increase troops in them. And I can count this, because it's all come out of one circular base, Yeah, I can sort of count this as sort of one terrain feature, even though it's separate. Do you know what I mean? It's easy to define where the edges are. So I'm really chuffed this is working out. Now, on top of that, okay, where are they? Ah, there they are. I don't know why they're with the kettle, but I've got more palm trees, so thank you, Jay. Why did I put palm trees on my wish list? So, I've got to get these sprayed up. These actually look like different to these, aren't they? No, they're the same ones, aren't they? Anyway, I've got to get these sorted, so I'll potter along with those because you've seen me do those before. What you call it? With regards to this, I need to give it a coat of my, what you call it, base colour brown, and then after that, yeah, it's time to go in with the mixed herbs. If you're looking for this, this is called Suma Mixed Herbs. Search on Amazon. It's a 1 kilo bag. Yeah, but this is my basing material. So, paint down, that'll dry by this afternoon. I like my studio warm. Yeah, coat of PVA, watered down PVA, because I'm still conscious of warping even though I've firmed it up with the filler. And then we'll get the herbs down. Then I need to let those completely dry, yeah, before we sort of stain them and that sort of stuff. And I want to see if I can make it a little bit, I'll explain that stage when we get to it, guys, because I'm not even sure what I really want to do with it just yet. Right, yeah. So, well, cracking on time. So, all based up and looking good, to be perfectly honest. I mean, if you look at them on this camera, yeah, you can see all the herbs on them and that's gone down. I haven't sealed them yet. Yeah, I still need to do some work. And if we have a quick look at the other palm trees, then if I bring these over to the close cam, yeah, you can see I've sort of started them. I've got the trunks done. I've got the majority of the plumage base coated. I still need to highlight that, okay, and then weather in that sort of stuff. So that's still a job to do. And I found some different palm trees. Okay, so I'm having a play with those. What I'll do with the different ones is, what I don't want to do is set up a dedicated palm tree grove using different palm trees. Because then it'll be like, well, where are they on the rest of the table? So while I think I've got, what, 8 there? I'll just drop those into a few other pieces just to spread that type across the build. And then as I get more of those, yeah, on my wish list down below, palm trees. As I get more of those and I start picking them up and that sort of stuff, I'll spread them out across what's called the actual set. But this whole process has thrown a couple of cogs in the work for me. One from a terrain tutor point of view and one from a project point of view. From the terrain tutor point of view, I like, and even though this is a vlog, okay, rather than a tutorial, I like my vlogs to at least pass information along. So once you finish watching them, you feel a little bit like you know a bit more than when you started. Yeah. It's that education thing, it's big with me. And so I've been thinking, well, to be truthful, all I'm really doing right now is just sticking some palm trees I've already painted onto some bases. And the only really interesting bit about this video is the bases and the way I've arranged them to make them modular, you know. Then it occurred to me, actually, we could have a proper chat about that, because one, I've only got a couple of pieces of what I call open ground. Jungle wise, I'm calling this open ground because you can see quite clearly through it. You might get a -1 modifier for soft cover in bolt action, but you can still draw a line of sight through it. You can still see enemy models. And I've got a couple of other pieces that are like that, but I haven't got much and I want more. So I've decided this needs to be more about open ground, this video, and this video is probably going to be 2 parts because I need to prepare in this part, yeah, and then finish off in the second. And I'm concentrating, as I said, on open ground. Now I've got these, I've got the tall grass, and I've got some bamboo that I want to do, so we'll look at doing bamboo in the next video. But with it being open ground, it's not the standard jungle floor that I'm using on the other pieces, i.e. the herb mix. Obviously I want it a bit more dirty. You know what I mean? By dirty, I don't mean dirty, I mean with dirt on it, not leaf foliage. Okay? And so it suddenly occurs to me that I've not done that on this project yet. And I could rush in, do something, and then have to be committed to that style and that technique for for the rest of the project. So what I think I need to do is I need to take a little bit of time out and have a play with a few different sort of techniques and find one that I want to use on this project that I'm happy with, because if I do that first and I use it, then I'm not going to be doubting whether it was the right thing to do. Testing is always good in this game with big projects, because there's nothing worse than getting halfway through a long project using a particular technique to find out that you don't really like it, or you could have done it better and you can't change it. Okay, so with regards to that, I'm not going to take these any further in this video because I need to experiment and work out the paths, and that's quite a long and involved video, yeah, and it'll be part of the next one. In this one, what I thought I'd do is talk about basing. Now, to talk about basing, you need to see the sort of bases I'm using, so give me a second to get set up. It's a bit of a jungle out there. Right, I've got all my pieces together now, okay, and let me talk you through this. So if you come on down, yeah, as you can see, what I've got here, obviously my palm trees are there. Obviously what you've got here is, this is my long grass, okay, and the idea being that these pieces have been specifically designed so they've all got pathways through them. Even though they're quite dense jungles, I can still easily place troops in, and you've got a reasonable chance of shooting through, which is why I'm considering them rather open cover, yeah, for a jungle setting. It's not as open as we would normally consider open in a standard green field, but in a jungle setting, this is a hell of a lot more open, yeah, than something like this. Okay, so I want to expand on this idea. Now, when I was coming up with it, what I had this idea that I'll create all these larger pieces, and then when I lay them out, what I can do is I can come along with these smaller scatter pieces, which are just simple MDF bases with just a little bit of plant foliage on, and I can drop them in, okay, to sort of fill the gaps and give that impression that it's a deep jungle. Now the problem with this is, now I'm actually putting it together, they look too small, these small bits do, and I'm not 100% that, you know, as you're playing, you won't just knock them over, which is something that, it's a major pet peeve for me. Yeah, I like my terrain to go down, and as you're playing, it stays where it is, because if the terrain moves, then your cover saves can change, and I don't like stuff like that. Makes Mel unhappy, Mel. Yeah, so this problem is reinforced further along. So if we just move these over here and we bring my bigger pieces across, yeah, and my full jungle pieces. Now, even though these have been developed to be relatively small, yeah, in base size terms, they still have the same problem, okay? I.e. that once they're all lined up and they're in, I'm going to have to drop these things in to dense them up. And as I said, I'm going to have the same problems here as I had before. And so I need a solution for that. And my solution for that is going to be a bit of inverse basing. Alright, and now everyone's going, well, alright then, calm down, Bosco. What the smeg is inverse basing? Well, I've sort of kind of just made it up as the best way of describing it. But if you look at these, what you'll notice is they're all, I'm not going to say they're round, but they're all oval sort of shapes, yeah? I.e. they stick out, okay? They don't stick in that often. This one's got a bit of a curve in, yeah? But that's one of a few, shall I say. Now, if I do bring this one up for a second, I can show you what inverse basing does. I'm using it like it's a proper term now. Inverse basing. You watch, yeah, if you see anyone else do another video with inverse basing, I've made it. I've made a term. Yeah. Right, this one's got a slight curve in it, okay? So if I bring this up and I put it like that, what you actually get is you get, in fact, let me angle that round so you can see it a little bit better. Yeah, if I bring those in like that, what you actually get is this really nice jungle path through it. Now you don't get that if I use a normal oval. What you get is that sort of wide at both ends, squished at the middle. Obviously, as you know, they come together. You'll only be able to put these as close as a single model can stand in between them, which means the edges are always going to be wider. So what I want to do is I want to come up with a load of little bases, sort of a mixture between these, yeah, and these, that are specifically designed to go in these gaps, that I can drop more of my long grass in. I can even get some of these and drop them directly on the base and rebase them. I can get my palm trees, drop those in and make little palm tree grows. And then when we move on to the bamboo, I can do the same with the bamboo. Now the key point of this, yeah, with this inverse basing, is this idea that they don't go round and stick out, they sort of come in, okay? I know, wobbly fingers, but trust me, you'll understand. So my next job is, I need to get the power tools out, get the desk out, mask up, do a load of cutting and sanding to cut a load of bases, and then when they're done, I'll bring them back to explain the process, and we'll wrap it up with that one, so you can understand what I'm thinking with this basing process and where I'm going. And then in the next section of this open cover sort of video, yeah, we'll cover actually putting the bamboo on, rebasing and putting them all in. I'll be able to show you it all perfect. So give me a sec and I'll go get cracked on. So I've been in a busy beat and I've worked out my inverse bases. So let me show you how they work. Yeah, all right, that's what they look like. Yeah, generally they all look something like that. Yeah, they come in lots of different shapes and sizes, folks. Yeah, and I've dropped one, I'm not picking it up, I'll use this one instead. Alright, but the idea is I can drop them into these gaps, okay, and what it produces, if you can see on there, is this idea of a much denser jungle. Now even if I use this with my dense jungle pieces, okay, and I have this as open ground, it'll still look right. Or if it's just all open ground, it'll still look right. Now looking at these, I reckon I can get a few of these dropped onto there and what you call it, sort of weathered in, which means I can reuse these, which I'm really chuffed about. Yeah, because like I say, I wasn't happy with them, but that works really well. They'll work for the palm trees. They'll also work for the bamboo. Now I've got about 9 here, I think, which should be enough. Yeah, I figure across an entire table, yeah, to sort of not fill every gap, but certainly make a difference and certainly improve it drastically. So that's the general idea. Now I know they're light at the minute and you can't really see them. I need to get working on the basing and all that sort of stuff, but the challenge is that I don't want to start that until I've worked out these paths, and I need to do some research for that, to be perfectly honest. I need to sit myself down and spend a good afternoon going through Google Images and doing some searching and watching films and stuff like that. Well, watching documentaries, it's rarely you get good films where you get good research material, but spending the time basically soaking that information up. So I think this is as far as I'm going to get on the Burma build this month. Is there anything I can do in the meantime? Not really, no. I want to save the bamboos until the bases are done. I really need to get these bases done. I don't want to continue any further on those. I could work on the plumage, yeah, but I'd be better off doing that all in one go when they're on the bases, to be perfectly honest. So, but looks like I'm wrapping this one up round about now then. Alright then. Well, okay, fingers crossed you've learnt something new, this idea of this inverse basing. So I hope that catches on. But this idea of by using the dips on the inside of the base rather than the outside of the oval, I can bring them much closer, give that impression of much tighter paths through my jungle. And once that I've got these bits fixed down here and they're a bit more stable, I'll be a lot more confident about putting my hand in between these plastic plants and moving around. So I'll be a lot happier with that as well. So, I think we'll do bamboo, the video, maybe the video after next, or maybe the next video, I don't know, but we will be finishing these bases off. As always, guys, if you've got any questions, get them down below. Any comments down below as well. Like it, share it, as always. And if you do like this project and you do like what I'm doing on the channel, remember, yeah, there'll be Patreon links on screen. Yeah, they're down below in the description. Yeah, and if you're not into the old Patreon thing and don't fancy doing $1 a month, there's one-offs either direct via PayPal, or you can just hit the Amazon wish list and, you know, help keep the studio stocked up with palm trees and stuff like that. So shouldn't have put those on. But anyway, right guys, this is where I'm at. I know what I'm doing. Next Burma Build video, which will be next month now, we will watch it, or maybe the end of this month, maybe. Yeah, we'll watch it. We'll get a full setup down. We'll get all the pieces out, because I'm getting the feeling now that I'm starting to actually spread out as well, jungle-wise, which means we're going to have to look at a table soon. Anyway, links on the screen. I'll crack on with this and I'll see you soon, folks. All the best, yeah? Ta-da!